Hi everybody, thank you for watching. So today's video is going to be a get ready with me plus a story time. I did one of these videos a couple months back and it seemed to go over pretty well, and in that video I asked if you guys would want to see another get ready with me with a story time included in there. A lot of people said yes, and I also asked what story time would you like to see, and so many of you guys are very curious about my husband. You wanted to hear the story of how we met. You wanted to hear the story of how he proposed to me. You wanted to hear little tidbits from our wedding. And so I thought, why not give it a shot? I know that I can talk a lot, so I kind of want to cover how we met, how we proposed, and our wedding, but not make this video an hour long. So this is also going to be a bit of a challenge for me, but I'm going to try to get through it and cover all those bases, all while doing my makeup at the same time. So we shall see how this video goes, but since I know it's going to be a long one, let's just hop right into it. My hair back, you can see my sports bra. Okay then. So I really wanted to use the Kat Von D Shade and Light eyeshadow palette, so that's what I'm going to use today. So I am going to do my eyes first, but before I do anything, it is early morning. I just woke up a few hours ago, and I need to pep myself up. So I'm going to spray my face real quick with the Mario Badescu Rose Water Spray. Just give me a little hydration. That's good stuff. Okay, and then since I'm going to work with the eyes first, I'm just going to take a little bit of my Maybelline Fit Me Concealer and place that on my eyelids to act as a eye primer, and then buff that in with my Sephora 57 brush. So my husband's name is Mitch. We will be married for 3 years on September 7th. We met in college, so we went to the same college in Des Moines, Iowa, which is where we still live now. I am a year older than Mitch. Yes, I am. And our birthdays are 4 days apart, but my birthday is first. So after my birthday, for those 4 days, I'm technically 2 years older than him. And those are the worst 4 days of my life, you guys. The worst 4 days. He reminds me every single day for those 4 days that I'm 2 years older than him. But we didn't start dating right away when he came to college. We all hung out in the same circle and went to the same parties and games and activities and whatnot, but we didn't start dating until that following spring, and we will be dating 10 years next April. That's a long time. The first shade I'm going to take out of the palette is this peachy one right here, and I'm going to use that in my crease and a little bit above, using the Morphe M441 brush. So we started dating in the spring, and then it was probably, 4 years into dating that we moved in together. We moved into a condo, and then we lived in the condo, I think, for 3 years. And then we bought our first house in May before we got married. So we got married in September, and we bought our first house in May, and this is where we still live. So it's been very exciting. We got married September 7th, and then we welcomed Aries, our puppy, who I'm sure many of you guys have seen and know. We welcomed her in November after that year, so that was very exciting. I mean, that's really how we met. Our first date, our first time that we really spent time together in any sort of flirty way, was at his apartment on campus, and we watched Talladega Nights. Such a good movie. And then our first date, we went to Applebee's. Gotta love Applebee's, which also has a reference in Talladega Nights, which is kind of funny. Not the reason why we chose it, it was just something close, and when you're in college, Applebee's I think is considered fancy. Right? I'm gonna pick up this gray shade right here and use my Morphe M433 and just kind of place that on the outer V and then slowly blend it in. So it was really exciting moving in together. I don't remember exactly how old we were when we finally decided to move in together. We were both out of college at this point. Exciting to purchase our first home together. Very stressful. I watch those HGTV shows, and they talk about buying a house and they make it seem super, super easy. That was not easy buying a house. I really am hesitant to do this process again, especially now that we'd have to sell a house at the same time, because it was much harder than I imagined. But so we started dating in 2007, and then it was July 26th of 2012. We were living in our condo together, and Mitch asked me, it was a Thursday night, he asked if I wanted to go out to dinner that night. And I was like, well, heck yeah. And I said, is there anywhere that you want to go? And he's like, thinking about doing something different. We went to Spaghetti Works, which is a restaurant downtown Des Moines. And we usually don't venture downtown. It's a longer drive. It's like kind of a pain to park. We just don't do it a lot. But I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. Like every once in a while, we would try to go out of our comfort zone and like eat somewhere else, you know, go somewhere different, like try to have fun with it. So I, at this point, suspected nothing. And we went to leave, and I worked from home at this point, and so I was always wearing like yoga pants and just like workout clothes. And I remember I had like a t-shirt and yoga pants on, and I was getting ready to leave, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna put a dress on, because we never do anything like nice or like out of the box. Like I always wear yoga clothes, like just put something better on. So I just put like a very simple like black and white dress on. It wasn't anything fancy, it wasn't anything crazy. I wore, you know, nicer flip-flops with it, but I was like, I'm just gonna throw a dress on. So we make it down to Spaghetti Works and we start eating. And I realized at one point that Mitch hasn't eaten all of his food. And usually when Mitch eats, not only does he eat all of his food, but a lot of times he's like taking food off my plate. And I asked him at one point, I said, do you like your food? And he's like, oh yeah, it's fine. I was like, okay. Still do not suspect anything at this point. Like I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. So we keep eating, and then we go to leave, and he's like, oh, do you want to stop in at Johnny's and get a drink? And Johnny's is like a bar near Spaghetti Works, like a sports bar. And I'm like, okay. Which was kind of weird to me, because usually like we eat dinner, we go home, we don't usually stop to drink. I'm not a big drinker, especially like during the week, because I work from home, so I can always be working, and so I get frustrated if I'm not in the right state to be working, because then I go home and I'm like, I could be working, but obviously I don't want to write a book or edit a book or answer client emails if I've been drinking. So, but I was like, okay, you know, you want to stop in and get a drink? Like, sure, that's fine. We stop into Johnny's and we get drinks, and and at one point he goes to the bathroom, and he's in the bathroom for a long time, and I'm like, what in the world is going on? And he finally comes out, and I'm like, everything okay? And he's like, yep. I'm like, okay. Still at this point, not suspecting anything. Like, I don't know, like looking back, I'm like, Samantha, there was so many clues there for you, and I realized none of them. So then we leave Johnny's, and he's like, oh, would you want to walk on, there's like a pedestrian bridge near the area that we were. It's really cool, really fancy. Just looks really nice. And he's like, would you want to take a walk on the bridge? And I'm like, okay, sure. And so we're walking along the bridge, and at one point there's like little areas in the bridge where you can like look down and see the river below. There's one point he's like trying to point something out to me. I don't even remember what it was, but he was getting my attention to look this way. And when I turned back around, he was down on one knee and asked me to marry him, and it was very sweet. I was very surprised. I was very taken off guard, but I did manage to say yes, and it was very cool. It was such a special moment. Obviously one I will remember my entire life, but he put so much, you know, plan and consideration and thought into the proposal, and that just makes, you know, that just makes a girl feel so special. It really does. Brown shade with my Sigma E39, and just kind of like buff that into what we all got going on and kind of blend it in a little bit. After the proposal, we found someone on the bridge to take our photo, which I will try to insert over here. I called my mom, and we are a military family, and I'm trying to think where they were even living at that time. I think they were in El Paso, Texas. So I call my mom right away, and she answers the phone, and she's like, yes? And I'm like, wait, did you know? And Mitch had called her ahead of time and asked for her permission to ask me to marry him, which was awesome. I do not have a father, I just have my mom, so I just thought that was really, really sweet that he also considered calling my mom and getting her permission and her blessing, and that was really, really special. So I was able to talk to my mom and to my sister, and they were so excited. And then we called Mitch's family as well, and his siblings, and I remember calling my little brother, and I think it was like his girlfriend at the time answered the phone, and I was like, can I talk to John? And she was like, oh, he's on the slow pitch field, like he was playing softball or something. And I was like, can you tell him to call me right away? because we didn't want to start telling friends until we had gotten a hold of all of our family members, and then we wanted to tell our close friends, and then we finally posted it on Facebook. But yeah, it's definitely really hard these days, like making the rounds with such exciting news and then having to tell people like, but please don't say anything yet. Like, we're trying to make sure that we get everyone told before anyone would see it on social media. Honestly, like, the proposal was like one of the most romantic nights of my life, obviously one of the most special, and it just made me feel so loved that he put so much time and effort and consideration into it, thought about our families, thought about my mom. Like, it really doesn't get any better than that. And I realized afterwards that he didn't have it in the plans to stop at Johnny's to get the drink, but he did it because he wanted to propose right at sunset. And so he had looked to see, you know, like how they predict like when the sun will set. So he knew what time it was going to be, so he had tried to time it out, but the sun wasn't setting yet, so that's why he stalled us with the drinks at Johnny's so he could propose on the bridge at sunset. It was the coolest thing. It was really, really the coolest thing. So very special. We did end up taking a few of our engagement pictures on that bridge as well. It's just such a cool location, so I'll try to add a few of those pictures in here as well. So yeah, the proposal was amazing, and then, you know, of course we hopped into wedding planning, and honestly, wedding planning was a little bit more stressful than I thought maybe it would be. There's just so many different opinions, and so many people want to help you, which is amazing. Definitely not complaining there, but so many people want to help you and give their feedback, but then it almost can kind of get to be too much and kind of overwhelming. And yeah, and I think it was harder with my family being out of town and trying to keep them in the loop and make sure that they, you know, felt a part of it. My mom was amazing. She came back a couple different times during the wedding planning process to help me out here and to just be able to see things. I first tried on wedding dresses. I knew that I wanted to try on my first wedding dress with my mom. Like, it didn't matter. I wanted to try on my first wedding dress with my mom. So we got engaged in July. I think it was September that Mitch and I went to, I'm pretty sure it was Texas at the time, El Paso, Texas. We went to Texas to visit the family, and then me, my mom, my sister, and my niece, we went wedding dress shopping down there. And you know, I did not think that I was going to buy a wedding dress down there, because how would I get it back home to me, and you know, all that stuff. But I just wanted to make sure the very first time I put a dress on, my mom was going to see it. So that was a really cool experience. I'm so grateful that we did that, like so grateful that we did that. We went to a couple of different stores. I tried on a lot of dresses, and it was a really, really fun experience. I ended up buying my dress back here. I had my maid of honor and my bridesmaid Holly. They came with me to look at dresses and try them on, and then we Skyped with my mom and my sister the whole process so they could see the dresses. So on that appointment, I did end up buying my wedding dress, which I absolutely loved. I actually saw it online first, and I was like, that is the dress I want, and it took us forever to find it. Like, no places had it, or they didn't have the designer, they didn't have that dress. And actually, the store that I bought it from, they didn't have that specific dress, because this dress from Maggie Sottero was the designer. It was called Perla. They had two different designs of Perla. So basically the same dress, but the one they had in the store had like full up to the neck. It had long sleeves. It didn't have a corset back. It was different, but then the other design of Perla was strapless. It had a corset back, and so there was just little changes with it, and that was the one I saw online that I really wanted. And the store was like, we can order this dress, but we can order it in the different, you know, the one that you want. So I tried on what they had, and I was like, yes, like I know that this is the one that I want. I loved the very, very full skirt, hoop skirt, like ultimate princess dress to me. I was like, I know this is what I want. So it was a little scary ordering a dress that technically I did not try on. That was a little scary. And when the dress did come in, we ordered it in like October. It came in March, and my mom was up here, which was really nice. She came to visit, and so when I tried on that dress for the first time, my mom was there and got to see me in it, and so special, so awesome. I absolutely loved it. I loved everything about my dress. It was perfect. It was big, it was princessy, it was sparkly, it was blingy. It was also a little bit sheer, and it just spoke to me. I think a lot of people thought maybe I was going to pick a wedding dress that was very form-fitting, because that's kind of more of like the clothing style I wear, kind of like the tighter clothing. But on my wedding day, I wanted to be a princess, and I was. It did have a sheer bodice though, and I couldn't wear underwear because you could see through it. So that was my touch. That was my Samantha touch. I still needed a little bit of me in there, but I wanted to be a princess at the same time. You know what I'm saying? I pick up this white shade and use my Sigma E54 and just sweep that across the lid to give a little bit of brightness to the look. So that was picking out my wedding dress. That actually went really smoothly, and most of the wedding plans went smoothly. We have 2 friends that are getting married here shortly and going, you know, through their wedding plans, and my husband actually asked me the other day, like, if you could change anything about when we were planning our wedding, like, what would you change? And I really couldn't think of anything. I wish that I would have listened to myself more instead of everybody else's opinions and really trying to make everybody else happy. There were certain things that we did or didn't do that we did because someone else wanted it or someone else thought we should have it that way. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, like, need to please everybody. That was kind of like the role I felt like I took on, and I wish I would have listened to myself more and been like, you know what, that's what I wanted. I should have done it that way. But you know, it can be very overwhelming and very stressful, and it happens. But really, everything I was very happy with. Our families were incredibly fantastic. My family, but also Mitch's family, were so incredibly helpful. Not just his parents, but like his sister was so helpful as well. Sister-in-law made me such a great little charm. I'll show you guys my bouquet. She made a charm with my grandparents' wedding photo on there and put it in there, which was so special to me. Like, everyone just was very, very helpful, and I'm so grateful because really our wedding day went very, very smoothly. There was glitches, of course there was. There was like little issues, you know, dotted along throughout the day, but nothing major, nothing devastating, nothing, you know, nothing crazy like that. It all went very, very smoothly, and you know, it's because our families were such a huge help. So yeah, they were awesome. I'm gonna switch to my face real quick. For primer, I'm gonna use the Makeup Forever Step 1 Smoothing Primer. Like I said, our wedding day, honestly, it went very smoothly. There was a few hiccups, like the DJ playing Here Comes the Bride and the wedding party walk down the aisle. For foundation, I'm gonna take it back to like my favorite from last year. It's the Maybelline Fit Me in 225. I'm just gonna put some on my Real Technique sponge and blend that across my face. It was also really special. Like I mentioned, I do not have a father. I've actually thought about doing a story time video on that because my biological father is a sperm donor, and I've kind of played with the idea of like trying to find him one day, but I don't know. I don't talk about it a whole lot, but I thought maybe it might be an interesting video. You guys would want to hear the story about like how my mom had me and how I found out about it, because I actually did not learn until I was 23. Kind of an interesting story along those lines, but if you guys would like to hear that story at all or any other story time videos, just please leave that in the comments below, and I will make note of that. Really, everything else about the wedding went very smoothly. I mean, if you watched my other Get Ready With Me, you'll know that my maid of honor cut me out of her life after my wedding, and I've never quite figured out why, so I will leave that video linked down below if you would like to see that. It was also really special to me too, because since I don't have a father, I am very close with my little brother, and I asked him to walk me down the aisle, and he did. And that was a really, really special moment. It was a lot of fun and something that I'll always remember. And, you know, Mitch did like the dance with his mom at the wedding, and I danced with John, and it was very sweet. And he was such a good brother. Like, if I needed anything from Jonathan during that year, like, he was on it. Like, he had my back so much. He was constantly texting me, like, do you need anything? Do you need me to come down for anything? Like, when do you need me to get there? And he really took it seriously. And, you know, he was only in like his early 20s at this point, and it meant a lot to me, just really how much he cared and showed that he cared during the wedding. It was really awesome. You know, I've heard a lot of people say like your wedding can be like one of the most overwhelming days of your life, like the fastest day ever. And it's so true, because there are times from our wedding that are a complete blank to me. Like, people will tell a story that I'm a part of, and I'm like, I don't remember that at all. Like, isn't that weird? I'm gonna come back in with the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer to conceal under my eyes. It flew by in a blur. I've also never been as exhausted as I was. Like, I could not sleep the night before. I had a lot of troubles sleeping, obviously. But by the time that our wedding got over, I can remember like getting back to the hotel and falling face first, dress still on, hair still done, like shoes still on. I remember falling face first into the bed and just being like, I'm exhausted. Like, the level of exhaustion in my body that night was insane, like just insane, but all totally worth it, all so much fun. Honestly, I've heard brides say like, I wish I could do my wedding again, like I want to be a bride again, and I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, it was stressful, it was exhausting. Like, was it all worth it? Yes. But do I want to do it again? Like, no, I'm good actually, thanks. Like, dang. And it's also expensive. Like, let's not forget that part. It is very pricey to get married. I live in Iowa, which means we have really, really brutal winters. So we actually decided to wait and take our honeymoon in February, and we went to St. Lucia for our honeymoon. We went to a Sandals in St. Lucia, and it was a really awesome experience. I'm really glad that we waited because we were able to kind of get out of, like, when February comes, it's like winter has us in its clutches and it's not letting go, and it just can be so tiring. So tiring. Like, I'm not a winter person, so I think we made a good decision in waiting. And also, a lot of people, I've heard them say like it's really exhausting to go from like boom boom boom, wedding to like all of a sudden like relaxation, but you're still like coming down from the wedding. There's still things that you need to do and worry about after the wedding, that it's kind of hard to enjoy your honeymoon right afterwards. So I'm really glad we waited. All the craziness had gone down, like our thank yous had gone out, my dress was cleaned and boxed, and I mean, everything was put back together. It was all good, so I'm glad we waited. We had a really great honeymoon. I set the concealer with the Rimmel Stay Matte and using my new Real Techniques Deluxe concealer brush. I've been really loving on this brush, so I'm just going to set everything with this. I think that actually like probably wraps up the story. I was trying to make it as fast as I could. I'm just going to do a quick bronze of the skin with the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer in my Morphe M530 brush. Nothing too crazy here. Also, I know a few people on Snapchat have requested like the husband tag video where we would do a video together and like answer a couple questions. If you guys want to see that, leave that in the comments below, because then I could actually show Mitch, because I don't think he believes me when I say that people want to see him, because he said like at one point he was like, they're your friends, like why would they want to see me? So if you guys do want to see that video, leave that in the comments below so then I can show him that. For blush, I'm going to use this Sigma Cor-De-Rosa Aura powder and my Morphe E4. I've been like obsessed with this powder lately. I think it is so pretty and so pigmented. So I'm going to do a couple things off camera just in the interest of saving time, and I'm sure the actual story parts were already really long, but these like 3 things take me the longest to do. So I'm going to line my eyes using the Sigma Wicked Liner. I absolutely love this. I'm also going to fill in my brows using the Benefit Goof Proof Pencil, which I love. And then for lashes, I'm going to use the Huda Beauty lashes in Samantha, so I'm going to apply those. So I'm going to do all those off camera, and then I will come back in to finish up, and then we will be done. Okay, so got the brows done, the liner done, and the lashes done. I'm going to line my waterline with the It Cosmetics gel liner. I absolutely love this liner. And I'm going to take my Morphe E36 brush. First, I'm going to pick up the gray shade that we used, and then I'm going to go in with the brown shade. I'm going to sweep those both on the lower lash line. Lips, even though I've been wearing this so much, I'm like, well, I put Kat Von D on the eyes, why not put Kat Von D on the lips? So I'm going to come in with bow and arrow. I'm not going to do any lip liner today, but I'm just going to do some bow and arrow on the lips. I absolutely love this color. I don't think I'm going to do any highlight today because I kind of like the matte look that we have going on. Like the foundation's kind of more matte, the eyes are all matte, the lips are going to be matte. But I will spray my face one more time with the Badescu spray. And that is gonna finish off my look. Thank you guys for getting ready with me. Thank you for requesting the story. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun sharing that story. Any other stories that you'd like to see, please leave those in the comments below. Like I said, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video and getting ready with me. I'm actually heading off to a housewarming party, so I hope they enjoyed this look. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, I hope you will give it a thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed before you go, and I will catch you real soon in my next one. Bye.